Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I'm just being me in a world that isn't. Next to the 2026 Nidecker Megalight, a board that's been completely updated to add camber all the way to the tail, a slightly different shape, an entirely new type of construction that is light and poppy, but yet not that chattery, and pretty damp. It's very setback and directional, versatile, one board quiver for those more directional riders who want something big mountain but turny with lots of setback directional float. And the only thing I don't like is the setback inserts are much wider than the reference stance. I wish they matched the reference stance. So I rode this primarily with my Union Force bindings and my Nitro Team TLS boots, but I also did a binding sampler, including the Nidecker Supermatic Carbon and LT, and I also got on the Nidecker Rift Pro boots. I got this in very late spring, which was unfortunate because this is a board you want to test midwinter. The conditions were getting pretty rough. The groomers weren't always ideal, and I wish I got it in other conditions, but I did get some really fun, super soft, off-piste, late spring snow that really felt good, and it was really fun to try this board in a wide variety of spring conditions. I'd love to own this and keep this review going well into mid next winter, but I want to get this up now for you. And speaking of, this is an honest, objective review from an average rider's perspective, and I can do that thanks to our sponsor, Blower Board Shop. They've been selling to snowboarders forever, longer than some of you have been alive, and longer than most resorts have been allowing snowboarders on the mountain. So if you want to support honest, objective content, buy through our links to Blower Board Shop. They're very well deserving of your hard-earned cash. Thanks. So let's talk sizing. This Megalight for 2026 got a little shorter and a little wider. This 58 fits me just as well as the 161 used to. In the past, the 158 was too small for me. I do wish they had more sizes though. They only have 3 sizes, a 52, a 58, and a 64 wide. Now, when it comes to shape, this is pretty tapered and pretty directional and pretty set back. You have 14 millimeters of taper, a much bigger nose than tail. It's 30 millimeters back on side cut, but when it comes to setback on board, on reference stance, you're 2.75 inches back from center of board at a 22-inch stance width. Then if you want to use the setback inserts, let's say for a powder day and get really far set back, or just ride this in a more snow surfy way, you can get 5.5 inches back from center of board at a 22.75 inch stance width, which I don't like. I wish it was a 22-inch stance width as well to match the reference. That would be ideal. And you really feel this taper and this directional shape. There are some boards out there with even more taper than this that feel a little less tapered. This really feels tapered and really feels directional. Let's talk camber profile. This is really exciting. In the past, the Nidecker Megalight just had a little bit of camber between the feet, a lot of flat towards the tail, and then a good bit of rocker before the nose. Now this is camber pretty much to the tail, going well past the inserts, and then early rise before the nose. And there is a good bit of camber here. I can get my fingers underneath and lift it up. In the past, I couldn't do that with the old camber profile. This does make this a little more technical, a little less forgiving, but it could still easily work for a committed intermediate on up to an expert. It's not terrible skating your turns. While it feels very tapered and directional, it does track very well. One footing off the chair, flat basing, all that jazz. So let's talk edge hold here. There's no real disruption that I can see, but I found that this new Megalight grips really well, and this can handle hard patches, no problem. You do have to dial your turns back a little bit, but overall it grips really well. And I love how this thin edge here between the feet and the way this sandwiches down, it seems to really allow more leverage. And I felt that might be a contributing factor to why this grips so well for not having a disruption in the side cut. Let's talk new Megalight Flex. When looking at the overall Flex, it's pretty dynamic. If you get down here to past the rocker point and between the feet, it's pretty stiff. It's pretty stiff in the tail and a good bit softer right in the nose, where the nose begins, especially as it transitions from nose into where the rocker is. It's a little stiffer, but it gives you leverage on a nose butter. And overall, it's got a pretty fun, dynamic, poppy flex. And just to continue on with this flex personality, now that I'm back on the table, it's just special. It just has this easy pop to it on an ollie. I was just thoroughly impressed with how well this tracks into, pops off, and lands little jumps and side hits, and it has great ollie power. I like it so much more than the old Megalight. Butters were pretty easy too. I could lean back into the tail and it wasn't that challenging for this kind of flex, and the nose was even easier. I like that I can throw this around switch if I want to. It's not the best, and there are better boards for this, like my United Shapes Cadet and even the Jones Flagship, but this rides switch pretty well for feeling so directional, and you do have some tail to keep that up. And this truly unique flex personality, I've never felt a board like this. It has this ability to absorb way more chatter for being this light and this poppy. I don't know what secret sauce they have under the hood here, but I love it. I wish all ultralight, mega, ultra, plus, limited boards had this kind of flex personality that allowed this board to be really damp and chatter absorbent in that hard early morning, sometimes micro bumpy, but also hard uneven snow. It did such a great job. And then even in soft uneven snow, yeah, it's a little bucky and a little bouncy, but it's manageable, and it has this rubbery feel to it that doesn't want to just launch you out of your line. I always felt in control. This is going to be a great board, even if you're in thick, wet, uneven snow and you're trying to get through some trees. It's not going to buck you out of your line and send you flying into a tree unless you're out of control. But I can't say enough about this new construction. They're pretty vague in the catalog about what it is, and I don't really care. It's all about how it rides, so whatever's in here, it does a great job. Now let's talk about turning. This initiates a turn really quick and really easy. I could get this edge to edge really well. When I committed to a harder turn, the pop and the spring out of this turn is exceptional. With the past Nidecker Megalight and that flat tech in the back, I always felt like it interfered with the true radius of the turn that this 7.8 meter side cut wanted to make. And this new full camber ride gives so much more spring out of the turn, and it makes the radius feel better. This is a really fun board to carve with, especially if you set it up posy. If you set it up slightly duck, like 18 front, -3 back, like a lot of people do with freeride boards like this, the tail can feel a little washy and you have to put a lot more back foot weight. The more I went forward, like 18 plus 3, 24 plus 6, the more this board lit up. You don't need to go full like 27 plus 9. You can though, and it'll do great. But I really like that 18 to 21 plus 3 or 24 plus 6. That really lit this board up and made it turn so well. And then I didn't need to back foot weight the turn as much, and I could drive a little off the front foot. I love this center area. It gives me a little more torsional twist to engage turns than you would think for this kind of flex, especially being pretty stiff between the feet, and I found that I could make all kinds of radius turns, from a circle carve to across the groomer carves, medium radius turns that a lot of us make out there, and then even start to draw it out and make longer drawn out S turns. And it's not a full-on straight lining bomber like maybe the flagship, but it has this nice balanced easy turning ride to it with a lot of spring out of the turn. I would say it matches up more with boards like the Stranda Descender and the United Shapes Cadet, although those boards are more inspired by this board because this has been around forever. When it comes to base glide, this has a very good base with excellent wax retention. Love black bases. Never really a fan of the die cut, but I can live with it because at least it's a black, fast base. Now, when it comes to powder, this was truly frustrating because I got this at the end of the season. That's on me, not on Nidecker. But I've ridden so many Megalights in the past in deep powder. I have a really good idea what this board's going to be like. I also got this in some soft spring snow at the end of the season. I love the way this turned. It didn't have that weird catchy feel that the old Nidecker Megalight did with all that flat from the insert almost to the tail. This feels like it's going to be more like the old Nidecker Megalights that really just turned easy through the trees and never got caught up, if you can get all the way back. But even if you can't, you're sitting so far back on board. It has the same setback on board as the United Shapes Cadet, but it's more tapered, more directional. So this is almost up there with a dedicated powder board. It's going to be one of the best floating Megalights I've ever ridden. The old ones were great, but they weren't as far set back as this new one is, and this is special. What's even cooler, this is great for low angle POW and steep angle POW. You can set it up on reference and get great directional float as well as landing gear for going big off-piste. But you can also set it back at low angle mountains like Mount Bachelor, where I ride, and get really easy directional float. So this is an incredible one board quiver. So overall, other than the limited sizing and setback inserts that are too wide in my opinion and don't match the reference stance, this is an exceptional board. I love this new construction. It's the best ultralight construction I've ever seen on a board. It's light and poppy, but it doesn't have that chattery, fatiguing crankiness that usually comes with it. It's got amazing big mountain to low angle versatility, great pop, great spring out of the turn. It really is a versatile board for any type of terrain, and it carves the hell out of groomers, especially if you like a posy stance angle. So there you have it.